Ah, Kate,
Ah,
hello.
here we are. I'm here. Right.
Yay. Yeah, it's
Um,
so nice to meet you.
yeah, you too. Thank you for the request. And yeah, this should be fun. I've been watching some of your lives, and yeah, it's been lovely listening to how other artists do what they do, because we all do it quite differently, I suppose, don't we?
Yes, that's what I found very interesting actually about doing these live draws with other artists is that even though we're using the same or very similar mediums, it's still a completely different like style and process and even outcome. So it's just been so fun to see that in live.
Hmm. Yeah, right. I think that I'm pretty much set up okay. It's one of those ones where the light, it's nice and shiny outside.
Mhm.
So it's just trying to find I think that's light enough. Is it
Yes,
light enough? Can you
I can
see?
see. Yep,
Right.
looks good. So what are
Good.
you using today?
I'm on Fabriano Artistico Hot Press. So the
Oh,
one that
okay.
many people, I think many artists do use that one, don't they? And
Yes, I've never tried that yet, so
oh,
that'll be
okay.
interesting.
And it's like the card one. So I've stuck it down. It's
Uh-huh.
actually surprisingly cream in colour compared to the white
Mm.
book. But yeah, I've never really
Mm.
noticed that it's so cream. Yeah, so I think it's 640 GSM if I remember rightly.
Oh
So
wow,
yeah,
that's quite thick then.
yeah, a very very thick one. So
Yeah.
I do use the other one a bit as well, the lighter, less weight one.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I quite like the card, just the feel of that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
great.
right.
And with colored
Yeah,
pencils?
so the color pencils I use, I sort of use quite a few different brands.
Mm-hmm.
So the one that I started off with was obviously, well, I say obviously, I suppose it's not that obvious, the Faber-Castell Polychromos, which I think is a big
Yes.
popular one for many
Y-
artists that are sort of starting
Yes.
out, because it's good, it's cost effective, isn't it? I think that it's quite
Yes. It's the
if
most
I
affordable high quality one, I think.
yeah, and if I ever get contacted by sort of artists that are sort of starting out, I do tend to sort of say to them that that's the one. If you've got like a bit of a tight budget, then that's the one that you probably want to start out using.
Yeah. No, that's true. I like that too. And I've also used the Caran d'Ache ones. I just love Caran d'Ache so much.
Yeah, I've got so many actually as well. So I've got like obviously the luminance. I don't know
Yeah.
if you can see. Yeah, so the luminance, and then the Pablos, and then I've
Hmm.
started using some other ones as well called Holbein. So I think they're the
Oh,
Japanese one. Yeah, so I don't know if many artists have used those. Yeah, I can't remember what site I saw those on. They're quite expensive. They're like the luminance
oh,
ones.
I've never seen those
Yeah,
before.
quite
Very interesting.
quite creamy. Um, they're a nice one, like the luminance.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, just all of them really. And then you've got the Derwent Colour Soft, and yeah, I do like to have a range of. I find
Yes.
it's textures as well as colours.
Hmm.
So yeah, right, I better get some drawing down, better I?
So you've got the outline down already, I can see.
Yeah, because it was such a small piece of paper, I've just sort of like sketched something
Yeah.
out
Yeah,
just to give me.
I got mine down as well. I thought it would help me be a bit quicker today.
Well, it's harder because the camera, I don't know if I can, I can't really angle it any different. It's kind of right in my field of vision, where
Yeah,
it
you
is
sort
at
of
the
have to look
moment.
under it, don't you?
Yeah. Oh God, I've just been rushing around, and oh God, which is why I probably sound all jittery. It's a case of um, yeah, out walking the dogs and back, and yeah, so it's time to settle down and get the old drawing on the go.
Yeah, some nice relaxing drawing.
Yeah. So
So,
how long have you been doing sort of this with the live with the other
um,
artists?
I guess it's been maybe just over a month, I
Oh
think.
wow. Yeah, so it's like quite
Yeah.
a new thing then.
Yes, it's quite new and I've really been enjoying it. It's just been so fun to chat with other artists, to learn their techniques, to just generally I also really like the aspect of us drawing the same thing
Hmm.
because then it's really nice to see the differences that artists like do in terms of their process and how they use their materials and
Hmm.
I just really like it. And it's been nice and social because art can be quite a solitary job and experience. So
Yeah, I mean, I find that it is quite, working from home and things. I mean, I
Mm.
have two boys and they're on the holidays at the moment and they've just gone to the barbers, so
Oh,
I'm sure
nice.
they'll be dinging the doorbell any moment. But I have said that I'm unalive, so hopefully they won't cause too much of a ruckus when they come back.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Yeah, so please just tell me about yourself and how you got started as an animal artist.
Well, I know that I've sort of called myself an equestrian artist, the equine
Hmm.
art, but I do predominantly more dogs and stuff, I suppose now.
Okay.
Um, but I started really to give myself sort of flexibility. So I worked full time at the local sailing club, Hailing Island Sailing Club, and I, yeah, it was really sort of having the boys. I went on maternity leave, and then I decided that because I had a horse at the time as well, and in the sort of later stages of the pregnancy, it was just like, oh,
Hmm.
sort of miss, seeing her as much. I don't know. I just sort of thought I'll pick up the pencils. I did art at college,
What
but
did you?
yeah, but it kind of like killed the joy for me, to be honest. So I sort of did
Oh,
that, and it wasn't to do with pencils. It was just, what was it? It was design technology and art and
uh-huh.
design. So it was quite sort of generic um, things, and yeah, so the history of art and all of that. But I
Hmm.
just found that I know this is going to sound sort of weird or bad, but it's just like I got fed up of having to draw things that they wanted us to draw. And I know that you're probably thinking, well, you do that as a job now, but
It's different.
it feels it is because I'm drawing subjects that I enjoy drawing. I like the medium, and with it before at college, it would be like the task of, I know it's important to look at like shapes and, tones and
Hmm.
depth and all of the rest of it, but I don't know. I just maybe it was just that time of my life as well. I just thought I
Hmm.
don't fancy doing it. So yeah, I left that and then I went and didn't pursue art as a job until, yeah, sort of having the boys really. And then I just like the freedom and the flexibility, and also obviously being able to draw things that I enjoy drawing, as in
Yes.
horses to start off with, and then
Hmm.
yeah, and then the dogs. That's been sort of a nice sort of transition going into doing other art like that with them. Yeah, I've drawn quite a few weird things over the years actually, guinea pigs and
Oh,
all
yeah?
sorts.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
so
so
sweet. I haven't been commissioned to do a guinea pig yet. That would be fun.
yeah,
Have you done a rabbit?
I have done a rabbit. Yeah, what else did I do? I did the weirdest one I think that I had was a lady from Dubai who wanted me to draw her son's teddy, and I thought it
Oh,
might. Yeah, well, I'm always a bit sort of like skeptical about like, I don't know if you got this, but like with the NFTs and stuff, you get people contacting you and
yeah, you're never
um
sure if it's actually a legit contact
yeah,
or not sometimes.
so it seems so, I mean, this was going back quite a few years. It seemed so random and I just thought, really? So I sort of thought, okay. I sort of went along with it for a bit.
Yeah.
And then it was, yeah, so she sent over the reference photos
Oh, that's
I
a
ended up
really
doing
lovely
it.
idea.
Yeah, so it was quite sweet. It was quite a sort of duffed up little teddy. So I think that it was obviously to preserve it, and I don't know, I suppose yeah,
Mm.
quite a
I,
nice thing to do.
I actually did something similar for my sister for her birthday. I painted her toy elephant that she loves and has had all her whole life. So
Oh,
yeah, she really loved that. So she has that hanging on her wall. So I think it's just as sentimental, I think, sometimes as a pet because you've had something that long and cared for it and taken it everywhere. And
mm.
it's not alive, but it still means a lot.
Well, I think as well, coming from you, that would have been even more special because then, it's something that it's a subject that, you know, the the kid loved and that, you got to draw
Yeah,
as well. So there's sort of like that connection.
yeah. No, she really loved it. She has it in her wall in her house. So It's nice to be able to do that for people, isn't
Mm,
it?
mm. Yeah, that's the thing. It is nice to surprise people sometimes with that
Mm,
sort of personal touch.
mm.
Yeah.
So how comes you've chosen this particular drawing today? Well, I guess we both sort of decided on this eye, didn't we? Trying
Well,
to pick one that hasn't been done yet.
I quite like the colours, to be honest. I think
Mm,
that was the thing. I mean, I don't know if I'm really um, getting there quite yet with the colours. It takes me a little while to just get to grips with the palette that I want to use. So
hmm
I see that usually I do one block and then I try and stick to doing one block. I think that I was listening to talking to another artist the other day about basically being able to do reference photo, the update photos.
hmm
So it's sort of
Yeah.
easier for a client to be able to sort of see how their portrait's getting on.
Yes, definitely. If you're completing a block at a time, it makes it easier visually to see how it's coming along, doesn't it?
Yeah, whereas how I'm working now isn't really how I'd normally work for a commission, I suppose, because I know that I've only got an hour.
Mm.
I know that I'm not expected to necessarily finish what I'm drawing, but
No.
it's nicer to sort of see a bit more. So I think I am doing a bit more of a, not a slapdash, but just get those colours down and then
Yeah. I
yeah.
think having the time limit does sort of like loosen up your style a bit, I think,
Yeah.
and gives you like a bit of that perspective. Okay, so what are the important elements to include
Mm,
to make it look as much like the reference picture as possible, but without drawing every single
mm,
detail. So I
mm,
quite like that aspect of thinking about it.
mm. Yeah, it takes me ages as well to find the right colours that I want as well.
Mm,
That's part of the problem. It's sort of like I start thinking, oh, I really could do with using that particular pencil at the moment, and it's like, oh God, I sort of have them in boxes, so
yeah.
I can show you. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see it.
Oh yes.
So like just boxes
Nice.
and boxes, and obviously I
Just the
try and sort of
surrounded by
yeah.
them.
And I think that it's almost like a case of there's just too many to choose from now. And I
Mm,
think, oh God. So then when I'm working on a commission where it's obviously like taking me days, as the day goes on and the hours, I get to sort of really sort of like um, hone into the palette that I actually want and I'm using. So
yes,
it's
yeah.
much easier. And then I'm only really sort of like, I did do some prep work and I did think, right, pretty much what colours do I need for this? But as I'm sure you know, when you start really getting into it and looking
Yeah.
at it, you think, ah, that's colours there,
Yeah,
so
you
I
just
need to
change
try and
your
find that
mind. I
one.
always find that every time I
Yeah,
prep my colors, I never use those colors.
yeah, I think that you're quite good as well from what I've seen with your lives and things before, and obviously looking at your beautiful work that you do on Instagram. You are quite free with your colours, and I love that.
Mm.
I love it
Oh,
when
thank you.
I think who was the lady? I think that she's Australian. You were doing one with her, and she was saying about how she draws the blue dogs, and people are like, "Why are you drawing a blue dog?" But
Yes, Caitlin yesterday, Caitlin Grace.
oh, that's right. Yeah, that's the lady.
Yeah.
I gave her a follow. So that was the other good thing about you doing this. It's like, oh yeah, you sort of find through the woodwork, you sort of
Yes.
find other artists. But
Finding new
no,
artists to be inspired by and follow, definitely.
yeah. But I love that. God, you are well away. Look at you with the old. So you're using pan pastels then,
Yes,
are you?
pan pastels. That's why I really like them because it definitely speeds it up.
Oh,
It
phenomenal.
just, I
Yeah.
just use it to block in all of my colors, and then I use the color pencils over the top to then
Mm.
start like adding the layers and then the details, and then it just gets you sort of ahead a bit quicker, I'd say.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I've never really got on with, I say never got on. I've never really tried them, to be honest.
Hmm
Have I? No, not really. I've tried like the Pitt pencils,
Yes,
but
I
they're
don't like
obviously,
those.
no, I don't really get on with them. And then they're obviously not,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to start cracking on. They're obviously not as fast as
Yeah,
laying down like a pen because
because
you're actually
they're
using.
pencils again.
Mm,
Yeah.
right, I'm going to start working. This is the other thing sometimes I do. Like I say, I sort of work from left to right, so maybe I'll
Okay.
start.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Uh,
I honestly used to do that as well. I used to work left to right or like, section by section.
Mm,
And I think as the years have passed, my style has just developed, especially as I've had to be quicker and just
mm,
like get it done kind of thing. I can't just, always make it pretty, if you get what I mean. Like I'd rather the final one be the best it can be in the given time that I have,
mm,
and just be able to complete it like that rather than thinking about, because I used to think all the time about Instagram posts. So I'm
mm,
completing each stage for the post and for showing it to the client, if they're asking for it. But now I just try and get it done.
mm. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because I think I like when you see people do like the time lapses, and you're almost like, oh wow,
Mm,
that looks a bit sort of ropey, and then all of a sudden it's like magic. It just,
yeah.
especially with eyes, I find that like all of a sudden, like you were doing one with a lady the other day, and I mean
Hmm.
it looked lovely, but all of a sudden it just popped, and it's just like, ah, look, there you go.
Mm,
And I think that a lot of artists have that where sometimes it can be a bit like, oh, sort of like deflating, like this isn't going anywhere, this looks rubbish. And then
yeah.
there's that horrible sort of part at starting a portrait where you think, oh, is this working? I very rarely sort of start again. I can't even remember sort of how many. I don't think I have really ever started again. I just push through,
Hmm.
and I think you just got to have that faith that,
Well, that's
yeah,
good. I've started again a
yeah,
few times.
I'm sure I have once. I mean, I must have done at least once, but I mean, I've seen some artists and it's bless them, it's been horrific that they've like ripped the paper or they've done something and it's just like, oh, that must be soul destroying.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I do find that the tooth of the paper just doesn't seem to lend itself.
Mm.
I think that there was this thing a while ago that quite a few of the artists who use the Fabriano Artistico, this is so the one that I'm sort of using,
Okay.
um, even the company said that they changed their manufacturing. So a lot of
Oh.
artists, and it's funny because I sort of just started using it at the point that this was all kicking off. And I was hearing sort of reports from established artists who'd used it a lot saying, oh, it's not the same. And I was thinking, oh God, so if I order some, am I getting the old stuff or am I getting the new stuff?
Oh.
Because I had no reference to think
Yeah.
if I knew which one was which. But there's another artist as well who he does fantastic pastels. Paul Miller. I don't know if you've
Yes,
come.
yes,
Yeah,
I
so
do.
he does a lot of like reptiles and stuff. And I remember him sort of saying that sometimes you just get patches of the paper that sort of almost have a I find with this one, sometimes they have like an actual line going through the paper, and that's really
Oh,
annoying because
really? Oh,
yeah,
that's such a shame.
yeah, it's like a sort of manufacturing. I don't know if it's like a defect or something, but it's a bit like you
Sounds like
can't,
it is.
yeah, and you can't really even notice it until you're actually quite far through a portrait. So, I mean, obviously, things like that I wouldn't allow to go out, but usually I just have a good older sort of inspect of the paper. And I think that like the heavier one doesn't tend to have that line issue so much, but
Hmm.
I suppose where it's sort of like a natural product that you're always going to have sort of variations and sort of
Yeah.
discrepancies, isn't it? So
I guess
yeah, am I going
that's
off
also
topic?
the thing about commissioning art, isn't it? Because it's a hand-drawn thing, a handmade thing. I don't think
Mm,
customers expect it. Like they wouldn't necessarily notice a tiny bit of paper line that won't color over or something like that because they're seeing it as a whole
yeah,
and as the finished piece that someone's handmade for them. They're not seeing, I guess, the faults with the paper or, any other mistakes or little things that you may have accidentally done because they're seeing it more from their point of view as this beautiful handmade thing that you've spent days
mm,
doing.
mm. Yeah, I mean, I think as well, if you're buying a print, then you expect it to be top quality and there are no sort of smudges and
Mm,
stuff. But I do think if you're buying an original, then it is like what you're saying basically. It's like that is part of the process of that
mm. I think it's
artwork
quite
being produced.
nice. Oh,
Yeah, I
there's a
mean,
bit of a fingerprint.
yeah, I obviously sort of try not to, try and make sure that there's not sort of like massive grubby prints everywhere.
Yes,
But,
of course.
like if it has got a slight imperfection in terms of you sort of try to rub marks off the edges. This is why I try and work
Mm.
sort of like left to right, because then there's less sort of way of me causing actual proper sort of damage or
Yes.
noticeable smudges. But I do sort of sometimes
Yeah.
think, oh God, that smudge isn't coming out. But then I think, well, sod it, because that's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
The blood, sweat, and
It's
tears.
the authenticity of it, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's just, it's like the old signature. It's sort of that was part of the process.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I don't know how much longer have we got left? I know I
Um,
was a bit late and I'm sorry. So that was my fault.
let's say
Um,
another 40 minutes.
oh, we've still got another 40 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sweet. Oh, I'll be all right then.
No,
I was just thinking, oh
you're
God, I don't
doing
know.
really well.
Are you?
Tell me about your process. So do you like block in some color or do you first go in with like actually drawing in the hairs for each color?
I sort of block in a bit here and there, and then yeah, I do quite a few layers. I think that I sometimes run the risk of like shutting off the tooth of the paper sometimes with the amount of layers that I do end up putting in.
Hmm.
Um, I know that some people use the slice tool for sort of
Yep.
areas like this.
Have you
And
used it?
I have got one. Where's my one? I use the thinner one. Did you see that one?
Oh, yes, yes. I saw that
Yeah.
yesterday. I need
So
to try it.
I love watching now I can't remember her surname. Colgate. So Lucy Draws. You know who I'm sort of
Uh-huh.
talking about, I would imagine. Do you
Yes.
know Lucy Draws? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
She does amazing things with the slice tool, but she
Mm,
uses
yeah.
I think would it be the Bristol board? Am I wrong in saying that?
I
I don't
think
know.
she does.
Like a
I think
really
she uses
smooth,
Strathmore, but I can't remember.
yeah, really smooth paper. Like,
Mm,
and I've tried that technique before. Um, but I think you've really got to sort of like trust your sort of your process of doing that, because you're laying down a lot of like colors, and then it's just whether or not that slice tool is going to be able to cut through, because you're sort of working a bit sort of backwards, I find, in terms of the the sort of light and dark. But I mean, what
mm.
she does is incredible. So yeah, that's the thing. It's just really interesting just seeing how different people work. But yeah, this is the first live I've done, so I don't know. I think that I'm probably better off just
There's
doing
no
my, I don't
pressure
know. I suppose,
at all. Like you don't even have to draw if you don't want to. It's just like a fun chat. So
yeah, it's funny. I find that it is quite sort of like not private, but like quite sort of like personal thing to sort of sit down and draw. I know that some artists
mm,
do like workshops and stuff, and I don't know. I sort of hats off to them. I don't know if I'd really, but then again, I do like. There was a girl at the local college that did a little project on me, and I went in and
uh-huh.
spoke to her about art and getting into all of that, and I loved it. I do love talking about it, but
Mm.
yeah, it's one of those things with how much you sort of share and how much you want to rabbit on.
No, I do know what
Yeah.
you mean because specifically, when reels started coming about and you had to record what you're drawing, it's very
Mm,
different than just taking a progress picture. And I think I
mm,
really struggled with that transition because it felt like when you've got that camera recording you, it's almost like
yeah.
someone is watching you. So you
Yeah.
definitely feel less
Yeah.
relaxed.
I think that
You
my
know what I
hands are
mean?
shaking now. Yeah. Well, so I think I think some artists love it because I've heard them say, oh, it's like the accountability. So obviously, like you're not gonna be sort of going and making cups of tea, and you're gonna sit down and you're actually
Why
gonna do
not?
the work.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
It's
So
fun to make a cup of tea and watch your program, and like it's meant to be the enjoyable experience rather than no, you have to sit there and draw this until it's finished.
yeah,
You know?
it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because sometimes I think, okay, right, I'm gonna make sure that I do this amount of time and try
Mm,
and reach that point. But it's hard because I will work sort of any time that I sort of, there'll be some times that I actually like working later at night,
mhm.
and I'll really get into it, and then I think, oh God, I'm going to pay for this tomorrow because
Oh yeah,
I've
I think
stayed
that
up
all the
too late.
time, all
Yeah,
the time.
And then you just think, is this like false economy? Am I sort of staying up like your day tomorrow is not going to be that productive? But then at the time, I'm thinking, wow, I'm going like great guns and this is feeling great. And
Mm.
yeah, I think that it really is a sort of thing of you've got to feel it. It's,
Yeah, I think sometimes you have to risk it. Risk the next morning if you're having a good
I
time.
do. I know it's terrible. I do. I just think, but then, oh God, and I just have to tell myself, yep, tomorrow's going to be a write-off. You know that you're not going to be feeling it, but you're blasting it out now and you're
Mm,
enjoying it and you're loving it.
mm.
I think that's the luxury really of sort of working sort of from home and sort of, almost being your own boss. It's got its pros and cons for sure. Um,
Yes, definitely.
but yeah, I love basically that's how I came about doing art like this because it was just the freedom with
Hmm.
the kids. So I think like working for yourself is always a good thing in life
Mm,
if you can. Obviously, everybody's different. Um, but I don't know, it's just, you get what you put into it. And
definitely, yeah. Well, because it's a business, isn't it? Like it stops working if you stop.
yeah,
So,
and then it's if you can sort of get the right sort of work sort of balance with it all, then you've got the freedom. It's,
mm.
yeah, I do
I'm
recommend it
interested
to
to know
people.
how you started getting commissions in the first place. Like, how did you advertise, or was it through family and friends first, like a lot of people start
Yeah,
out at?
it was pretty much the typical thing that every
Yeah.
other commission artist sort of had. It was, I remember one of my friends in particular, she wanted me to draw her horse. I think because I've always been sort of arty, and I can't even really remember what the reason was why. And so I drew her horse,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, it was just literally with graphite pencil, and I didn't
Oh,
know.
lovely.
Yeah, this was sort of like 14, 15 years ago, and I think that color pencils have come on leaps and bounds really in terms of other
Mm.
artists that you can follow, and even the materials. Because I remember when I started out, like doing more like the color pencils, I was just going to like WH Smith and getting like just normal
Yes.
color pencils because
Same.
there was there was no one else online to follow. It definitely, I'm sure that it wasn't that I wasn't looking in the right places to find other artists. I'm sure that it's come on so much now with
Mm.
other art, which is fantastic because I love watching other artists doing their thing. But basically, the reason why I stuck to pencils is because I knew that they were easy to put down and pick up. I didn't have to worry about toxic fumes with the
Mm.
babies around. And, if they went down for a nap, and then they woke up and I needed to be with them straight away, then I didn't have a wet painting that I
Mm-hmm.
had to sort of deal with. So I could just literally just, you know, pack them away easy. So really, it was only by default for that sole
Mm.
reason that I got into color
Yeah.
pencils,
Mm, that's
which,
very
yeah, I'm glad.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and people sort of say about how slow it is, and I get that it's a slow medium. Sometimes I do like to sort of experiment with other things, other
Hmm.
mediums. Um,
Like what?
Pastels have never really. I did. I find it hard. I think I need to go back to pastels. I think I've I've done some, and like I think, oh yeah, that's good. And then, like I say, I've watched people like Paul Miller, and it's like, oh my God, like I just don't.
Mm.
I
He
don't
does
get how they.
incredible work.
Yeah, and I know it's about like layering and sort of. I just can't seem to get the accuracy. I don't know if I'm sharpening them with the wrong thing or um I just they don't seem to just, and I use the Clairefontaine, so it's definitely user error. It's not like I can blame it on the materials. And I just think this isn't working, and I've tried persevering. Like Bethany Veer. Bethany,
Yes.
yeah, she's
There, I think.
fabulous. There. Yeah, I mean, she's sort of fairly local to me, and
Hmm.
yeah, she's amazing, and I know that she sort of says the same thing, I think, with experimenting with other um mediums and things, and but she always seems to do a fantastic job, I think, with the pastels.
Mm.
So I'm like, oh God, like, but then I think it's just like your comfort zone. It's like she obviously, like me, like she always sort of comes back to the color pencils. So sometimes I'll
Yes.
sort of, I'll go out and do other things like some painting, and I do other drawings that I don't put on Instagram.
Hmm.
So, because I don't really like to sort of mix it up really. And then I did
Mm.
try like another page for a short time, but I was like, I just haven't got the time or the inkling.
Yeah.
I don't really want to be juggling. I think an artist who's done really well doing that is again, I'm so bad with names. I think it's is it Hannah Lipsey?
Yes,
She does the
yes,
shiny, yeah, the shiny things, and she was an animal artist, and she's done fantastic. And
yeah,
I think, oh, like hats off to her because she's put in so much effort, like time and effort to
yeah, to
do
do
that
something
transition.
different as well. Yeah, I really
Yeah,
like the shiny metal
yeah,
um artwork. It's very cool. It's like an illusion, isn't it? Very
it
good
really
trick of the
does.
eye.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, so I sort of I've done stuff like that on and off a few years ago, and yeah, there's so many projects that I want to do outside of the um the straight up commissions, but then it's always that one of like, oh, I'm so busy with the commissions, and I find it hard to just sort of like really save time for myself and the things that
Yeah.
I want to do. But then I know that I'm going to regret it one day, and there's so many pieces that I want to finish and I haven't, and I can only blame myself.
No,
So
it's just that
yeah,
thing, isn't it? Because somebody's paid for an artwork, so you do feel, a bit guilty if you don't then work on that artwork, isn't
yeah,
it? This is
yeah. I mean,
why
absolutely.
I've been loving doing these books because they don't take that long. It is just an hour. I get to
Mm,
try out animals and things that I've literally never been commissioned to do before.
mm.
And it's just been so much more fun experience than trying to like finish an entire piece.
Yeah,
And
I'm
it's
really
just
glad.
made
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's made practice just really fun again, I think, because I was finding it quite stressful, feeling like that whole cycle of, oh, I don't have time to do my own art, but I really want to do my own art, but then again, I don't have time to do my own art. But this sort of solves that problem, even though I'm not creating big finished pieces, they're little finished pieces. So it gives me that satisfaction of
Mm,
creating something for myself, practicing something new, and
mm,
it hasn't taken me too much time away from my commissions. So I do feel like this is strict, especially for me. It's strike to the right balance,
mm.
I think.
Yeah, and I love that you're doing it and you're getting other people into it. I think that's the
Mm.
thing as well. It's all a win-win-win really. I mean, you're getting to talk to other artists. I mean, I'd never sort of do anything like this off of my own back. You know, I don't, like I say, I don't mind like talking to people, but I just don't really have the gumption to sort of be like
Mhm.
putting myself out there. I very
Mhm.
rarely talk. Well, I never talk on my Instagram. I never really show my face. Um, and I don't know why. I mean, I am a private person.
Mm.
I
This is
don't
the thing,
know.
you don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah, I
You
think
can
it
do it
comes
in
back
other
as well.
ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like sort of you asking sort of how I got into it as well. So one of my neighbours at the time that sort of like when it was around the same time as my friend asking me to do the horse for her,
Hmm.
she was like, just go on Facebook and just put some of your, I wasn't even on Facebook, like even
Hmm.
sort of like socially.
Hmm.
She was like, go on Facebook and just pop some of your work on there. And I'm
Mm.
not the sort of person that likes to shout about myself.
Mm.
Quite, as much as I love talking, I don't mind talking to people. I'm very, very not the, hey, look at me, everybody. And that doesn't go well with
Mhm.
being a self-promoting artist, which I've got better over the years, but I'm just fortunate, I think. I've been doing it now for about, I guess, you know what, I always say 14 years. And in reality, it's probably more like sort of 15, 16.
Mhm.
And I think that I'm just lucky that I've just got a good following on Facebook and Instagram, and I think that I just sort of keep on going. I have a lot of sort of repeat custom, and
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
just think I'm lucky in a way. I do obviously put the work in, but the thing is like I say, I suppose I was kind of doing it way back when it wasn't flooded. Like
Yeah.
now, I'm not going to say the word competition because that's not how I see it. Because I think that if somebody wants a piece of art, they have an artist that they have in mind. So it's not, I
Mm.
never see other artists and think, oh God, like, the competition.
Yeah. I know what you
There's
mean.
there's just so much out there now. So I don't know. I don't know if it's just that I've been going long enough that I was just at the right time. perhaps. I don't know.
Do you
But
get
yeah,
most of your commissions through Facebook then?
I think I think Instagram. I operate most of my stuff from Instagram, so I
Okay.
would do it so that it posts over to Facebook. So I'm on TikTok, but I don't go on it. I literally
Hmm.
just go on it to just pop my post. So I post on Instagram, then that automatically posts it to Facebook, and then I sort of have to remember to go over there. I know it sounds bad because I love my followers over on Facebook. Like I have like die-hard
Mm.
loyal followers, bless them, and like every post that I put on, they say such kind things. I've been
Yeah.
so, yeah, so lucky with my sort of artistic journey that I've had some really lovely people and met lots of lovely people, clients and
Hmm.
everything. Um, so yeah, so I sort of go over there and sort of say thank you, and I always comment back to people who leave comments. But I'm not really over on Facebook. I do it all from Instagram. So my business, usually the work that comes in is from Instagram and then just via email. So I don't really
Hmm.
ask people how they found my work. Do you ever do that? I know that's kind of a business
Um,
strategy, just so you know where you're,
yeah.
but I don't.
Normally, if they message me through my website, they sometimes say they're like, "Oh, I've been following you for years on Facebook, and now
Oh,
I'm
okay.
finally ready to
Yeah.
commission." And so they do say sometimes, I think.
Oh, right. Yeah, I suppose, I mean, it's a good sort of strategy to have, but then I sort of think, well, where I don't advertise, I don't really need to know the sort of feedback, I guess. I don't know. I'm sure that I could do a lot of things better with like the business side. I'm trying to sort of update my website and things at the
Hmm.
moment, and I've just done a packaging rebrand, and I'm sort of trying to slowly chip away at these things, but yeah, I suppose it's just all just trying to push forward. Can you hear that noise? Did that noise just come up? I've just had a notification on my phone and I wasn't sure what would actually.
No, I didn't hear
Oh, good. Right, I'm so behind the times when it comes to technology.
it.
That was the notification that the kids are on their way back from the barbers, but they'll be fine. They won't cause a ruckus. I did say, oh God, I really need to push on with this eye, don't I? Been getting into the
How's it
hairs.
going?
Yeah, I haven't looked up yet. Where are you? Oh God. Yeah, I'm on snow. Oh, it's sort of getting there. Okay, yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Yeah,
This
you
is
are.
what I'm saying.
I
It's
love this details you're getting in with those hairs around the eyeball.
yeah,
Really nice and defined.
yeah. I find well, it's the polychromos, isn't it? They're so good, aren't they? With
Mm.
like that definition. But yeah, yeah. Not that I'm having excuses, but like having your head not over your portrait, it really does. I'm glad that I did the sketch to start off with, but even
Mm.
now that I'm adding sort of like the black bit
Yeah.
more, I'm still thinking, God, I can't actually really see it straight on. Like
I always
over.
work at an angle, so it's very weird for me to work so flat.
Yeah. Oh, right. What you mean? You have a board? Do you?
Yeah, I
Oh,
usually use a board, and like my whole desk is a drawing board, so it reclines and goes
ah.
down and up and stuff. So I usually use that
Mm.
to do my commissions. Because then I guess then it's parallel to your face and you don't have to lean over as much and get that pump back.
Yeah. I don't find that I have too many problems, like issues with my back and things like that. Because I know that some artists sort of say that
All
they.
the time. My back is a big issue if
Is
I'm
it?
leaning too far.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
I think
yeah.
it's also because of, carrying a child around all the time as well.
Oh,
It's
yeah. So you've got the one, have you? The
yes.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, humping them around, geez, they're like little, yeah, things to. And then when they like to do the old wriggling, that's always the fun thing when you're trying to get them in the
Yeah.
old car seats and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
I know. So I think I need to strengthen my core. Lots of core
Oh,
strengthening.
yeah, I think that's always the one, isn't it? Oh,
Hmm.
cool.
So tell me about your studio space. Do you have your own little studio or are you like in the spare bedroom or something?
Yeah, it's just in the house. It just makes more sense because
Yeah.
obviously when the kids are, I mean, they're 12 and 14, so they're pretty much sort of like they get up to their own devices and stuff. They're fine.
Hmm.
But I prefer that I'm in the house.
Yeah.
So, then I'm just on call, and then obviously like packages and stuff, it just makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea. I applied for a studio so I'm Hailing Island, and I
Hmm.
applied for a studio space over in South Sea, so Portsmouth, so just sort of like across the way. But they changed the criteria of the people who applied, and they said in the end, because it was sort of it was kind of like subsidised by the Portsmouth Council, and then
Hmm.
they said that the applicants had to be from Portsmouth, so they sort of changed the application process whilst I was in the application process,
Oh, that's a bit
and I
lame.
sort of yeah, but the thing is I didn't know if I actually did want to do it, and I thought, well, I wouldn't mess them about, but I thought, well, I'll give it a go. I think um, I've done some sort of like little shows and markets and stuff before, and I do really enjoy talking to people. I have a lot of time for talking to people that are interested, and like doing this live.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing this. As much as I say that I don't put myself out there, sort of willingly, I'm more than happy doing stuff like this.
Mm. Yeah,
So
you're very,
the
very easy to talk to. So
yeah,
I imagine we could literally talk for
yeah,
hours.
oh yeah. Once I get going,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's the thing. I don't mind. Like I love talking to people. So I did think that would have been a nice thing to do. But then I looked at the pros and the cons, and I thought, so I sort of ended up feeling like I dodged a bullet with that. And I just thought,
Hmm.
like, as much as like my work is important to me, I love the fact that it's just freedom in terms of I can just like we just I took the boys on a camping trip last weekend, and
Hmm.
just sort of like I can do that. I can just spur of the moment, like, yeah, I'm
Yes,
not tired. I haven't got opening hours.
exactly.
Whereas if I'd have been over there, it would have been like opening hours, and yeah, I do live the life of Riley. I mean, I live on an island, and like there are times when the tides are right and the local sandbank is perfect, and like sometimes like it aligns that the weather's perfect, the tides are perfect, and I'm
Mm.
just like, sod it,
You have
right?
to
So
make the most of it.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah, you
honestly what I've
do.
been doing because the English summer is just so terrible that
Yes.
when it's sunny, you just gotta go. You gotta go and enjoy it because it will be like once.
It will, and I know that I'm so lucky to be able to do that, that I'm not tired and I haven't got like shift work and things to sort of get to. I
Mm,
put in the hours, but, there'll be times sometimes that I'm working sort of late into the evening, like I say, if I feel sort of like in the
yeah.
mood, and so I do put in the hours, but that luxury of being able to just be like, right, I get the dogs and go down the sandbank, and I just think I am so blessed to be able to do this. I do not sort of take it
Mm,
for granted at all.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that's why. So that was the long answer to what's the studio space. Yes, I do work from home,
Yeah.
but it's just because it just is a no-brainer for me that like, the boys being the age they are. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I missed the chatting. So like I say, when I've done markets and stuff before, I've really enjoyed talking to people. I just love talking to people.
Mhm.
Like my horse used to be kept at a holiday camp. So I don't know if
Okay.
you've heard of like Warner's. So she was
No.
no, the Warner group. So they do sort of camps. They're not.
Hmm.
It's not a campsite actually. I don't know why I call it that. It's a hotel. So yeah, beautiful location. And anyway, it was an adult only hotel, and they would walk down to the stables. The stables would be separate from the camp, as in we had nothing to do with the hotel, but you'd have the generation who were into horses basically come down, and it'd be like, old boys, and they'd reminisce about their connections with horses, and I
Hmm.
just loved that. And there'd be times sometimes where I'd be in the car park trying to leave, and then I'd just stand there talking, because the thing is I knew that it meant a lot to the people talking to me,
Mm.
reminiscing about their days of, the connections, and I sort of know the history of
Hmm.
hailing, so it always come back to horses and war, you know,
Yeah,
so
okay.
because we've got all of the history, and yeah, so that's one of the things I think that
Mm,
I'd like if I had a studio. That was a
yeah.
very long-winded answer, wasn't it? Oh,
No, no, it's very interesting. Yeah, no, I feel exactly the same because I could get a place as well, but then I work mostly at night once my daughter's asleep. So
yeah,
it doesn't make any sense to
no,
have anywhere that's not at home.
that's the thing. So I think that you, as a, 'cause as a sort of a professional artist, you think, oh, really, I should have a studio, and it's just like, well, is it, should I, or is it like actually just
Yeah,
tying myself
I
up?
just wouldn't be there.
Yeah, I don't feel the need. I
Mm,
just, you
mm,
know, it sort of seems a bit like, oh yeah, I work from a spare room in my house, but it's a lovely area, you know.
mm.
It doesn't have to be called just a spare room in a house.
Yes, it is your
Yeah,
studio.
it is. And I thought, well, I could sort of separate it and have like one of these things that you have in the garden, like the old sort of makeshift
Oh,
office thing.
yes,
But
yeah.
the thing is,
Like summer house vibe.
yeah, but then in the winter, I've got a lovely log burner, and I just think,
Mm,
would I really want to be
that would be
traipsing
cold.
down to the bottom of the garden and no log burner, and then like, you know, the dogs and stuff? I just think, what's the point of disconnecting myself from the house just to maybe make
Mm.
myself feel like it's more of a professional
I
setup? So,
feel like I'd worry about the paper as well, like
yeah,
getting
like
damp.
getting damp. Yeah,
Yeah, oh, wouldn't that be terrible if your commission got damp halfway through doing it
yeah,
because it was
all
outside?
starting to
That'd be
curl
terrible.
up. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, no, we're doing it the right way.
disaster. Yeah, just
Doing it the
be
right
in the
way.
house, be as close to the family as you can, close to the
Yeah,
kitchen, close to the
yeah,
bathroom.
yeah, close to the kitchen.
Yeah,
Oh
that's what
God.
we need.
Yeah. No, I do feel very, very fortunate to do
Mm.
what we do. Yeah. How did you get into? Do you get people asking you many questions then? Because I feel like I've rabbited in on a lot. So
That's
how
okay.
did you get into it?
Uh,
Or have
well,
you sort of
very
like said
similar to
this?
you.
Have you sort of said this a lot, so you sort of feel like you don't really want to keep going over it? But I'm sure that many people
No,
hopefully will be.
it's it's honestly fine. I don't mind talking to you about it or
Hmm.
anyone's listening.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, it's the same as you really. Like I was in between things. So I originally did aerospace engineering
Hmm.
and I worked for NASA for a
Oh,
bit and then
wow.
I was in between waiting for my PhD and
Hmm.
just finishing doing another master's. So I didn't have any money coming in, we didn't have a job, we were just sort of like waiting for my PhD to start.
Hmm.
And my friend at the time, she was like, I'll pay you to draw my cat. And I was like, oh, yes, money, you know,
Hmm.
thank you so much. It's very
Yeah.
helpful, like I really didn't care like how much you'd pay me. Like I just really needed the money at the time. So
Hmm.
she paid me 50 quid to draw her cat, which unfortunately passed away.
Hmm.
Um, so I did that for her, and I'd never been paid for my artwork before, so it was so like daunting, like I finished, can I have the money now, kind of thing, like
Oh,
it's such an awkward situation when it's your first ever situation, and but no, she was really lovely, and she just gave me the money, and she was like, thank you so much, and she like cried over how
oh,
nice the portrait was, and it was just a lovely, I guess, experience, and to be able to do that for her,
yeah.
and
It's a funny feeling, isn't it? Like the
yeah,
first time you actually sort of, I think the first sort of bits of art that I sold weren't actually portraits. I remember, I don't know what ones have I had some artworks in galleries. They were paintings.
hmm
And then I remember once being down in Plymouth. I was down there with my student friend, and I just sort of did this. I think I was just waiting for them to finish a lecture or something. I was just in this pub slash bar thing, and the owner sort of said, "Oh, I like your drawing. Can I buy it from you?" And I was like, okay. So he gave me like 40 quid, and I went and get a
that was great.
crate of beers for my student friends. And I just went back to the house, and I was like, oh, I just had some person buy this thing off me. But it is
That's so
yeah,
cool.
it's a weird, yeah, I sort of, I felt lucky because it's just like, it's nice that people sort of like recognize these things. And it was only
Mm,
like a tiny little sketch. I think it was of a horse. I don't even know what the guy did with it in the end, but
mm, mm,
it's funny. I don't know. But that was many years before I even thought about
mm,
doing
mm.
selling art. I don't know. It's a weird industry, isn't it, really?
Yeah, the same actually, because when I just finished my first degree, and again, I was in between waiting for my grad job to start.
Hmm.
I was just living back with my mom and I didn't have a job or any money. So I started like a little blackboard business. So I was
Oh,
going around all the restaurants drawing their
oh
blackboards.
wow.
Yeah,
I
so
tell you
that
what,
was another,
I love
yeah,
those
another little
jobs.
thing I used to do.
Yeah, it's funny what you can like lend yourself to.
Yeah,
I remember when I worked at
yeah.
the sailing club, so HISC, I sort of started doing kind of like boards like that. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's funny how people can sort of really sort of spark your um they can sort of almost sort of shape your future a bit. It sort of plants the seed and it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
actually. So yeah, doing those boards, I bet you probably sort of got to go around to different places and
Yeah.
I don't know, I just
It was very interesting. I guess that's the first time I ever did commissions, really, then,
well,
isn't it? Because you go to the
definitely,
restaurant, you say, what
yeah.
do you need done? And they're like, oh, I need this sort of like, it was a huge one I did once. It was like the big menu, and they wanted like all of like, a picture of a sandwich and stuff all over it and that
Wow.
kind of thing.
So
So
chalk,
fun.
yeah, so chalkboards, you get like pens, don't
Yeah.
you, that you can
Yes, chalk pens. That's what I was using.
write. But then I suppose you're probably quite limited for colours, aren't you? Or do you get quite a
Yes.
few
So
colours?
it's
Yeah,
sort of like cartoony,
yeah,
illustration-y
yeah.
vibe. It's not like
No,
realistic.
but then you've got
Um,
to be quite sort of creative with how you can actually sort of, I suppose, use those pens to actually sort of get colours that you might want to get.
yes.
Because I remember doing some of those, and you only had like almost like the primary colours, and it's just like,
Yeah, it
oh,
is,
okay.
isn't
It's
it?
funny.
And you can't
Yeah,
really mix it because it's
yeah,
chalk pens.
they dry
They're not really
weird, don't they? Like powdery.
mixable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny. With
But
your
that's very
finger and
interesting.
yeah,
Sparking my memory.
yeah. It's funny when you look back and you think, oh yeah, because I almost forgot about selling that piece in that Plymouth pub. I was just like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that happens. There you
It's
go.
just funny how you for so long in school you're told, that's just a hobby, art's just a fun thing to
Yeah.
do. If, the only thing you can really do is become an art
Mm.
teacher. Um, so, what do you actually want to do with the rest of your life? Which is why I chose engineering, because I was like, okay, well, I'll be an engineer
Mm.
now,
Better
and
get
then when I
your
retire,
yeah.
I'll be an artist. That was literally always my plan, to literally wait till I was
Oh
60
right.
years old before I was an artist. And I thought,
Oh.
well, that's a good plan.
Yeah, but then I suppose I thought sod that. I'll stick
Yeah,
to like concentrated
exactly.
and
30
yeah.
years early, my retirement.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. But no, it also wasn't necessarily possible, I think, as easy as it is now anyway, because there was no social
Yeah.
media at the
I
time.
mean,
And I think it
yeah.
has changed the landscape completely, especially COVID. Like, there's so many artists now who I've been speaking to who have said that they started drawing again during COVID because they finally had the time
Oh
to.
right, yeah. Yeah,
And
that
now they've
makes sense.
left their jobs and become full-time artists. And I think without that whole lockdown situation happening, how many less artists would we have right now?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? How some things that happen like that sort of shape your life.
Mm.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah, so
crazy.
it's very interesting how people get started and how you're sort of like how your journey, it keeps telling you need to be an artist, you need to be an artist, but you don't really discover it till like 20 years later. You're like, oh yeah, I should have been an artist.
Yeah, but then I suppose things always happen sort of like at the right time for a reason and things. But
Mm.
yeah, I mean, I always remember there was only really sort of like a few, because I remember getting like the horse and hound and stuff. It's funny, my art
Hmm.
teacher, when I was at school, she was into horses, and you'd always find like horse and hound magazines like laying about and stuff in the art
Hmm.
room. And I remember in the back when you used to have businesses that would put their adverts up, and
Yeah.
that would be the place if you were a portrait artist to
Yes.
advertise. And I mean,
And they
yeah,
cost
like
like £400 for an advert like that.
yeah, I. But then I suppose it's not sort of as much diluted because, well, I suppose it's not really a it's weird. I don't know. I just love how
It's very high quality targeting, isn't it, to have an advert in a magazine because the people buying the magazine are already spending the money for that
mm,
interest. So they're obviously going to be interested in getting it anyway, I
yeah,
suppose.
I just love how accessible like that. that I think that I grew up in the best generation. I'm 42, and I had the innocence and the freedom of not having the internet, and I was allowed to sort of just be a normal kid. And then at the point where, I mean, I suppose like the internet only really came about um, kind of like when I was like leaving school, really. It's just incredible when you look back how much it just all of a sudden just rocketed. Everything just changed, and it was right at the point of my life where, yeah, it made a difference. It really
Mm,
opened up doors.
yeah, definitely. Oh, your eye is looking so good. I'm loving all these textures that you're doing in the
Yeah,
eyeball,
I hope
the
that
iris
I'm
bit.
kind of getting there now. I think that's the thing, like I said at the beginning. I mean, I probably spend way too much time, like, um, just like I spend too long on pieces, I think. But then I just think, sod it, I enjoy it. But
Yeah.
I could just go on and on and on. So I think that where
Mm.
are we now? Oh yeah, so now I'm looking at the screen.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's my one. Oh, there we go. It does look not too bad.
No,
Yeah.
it looks brilliant. I love it so much.
I'm not you. I don't know how long I'd spend doing this.
Mm.
I'm actually surprised how far I've got.
Yeah, it's surprising,
Anyway,
isn't it, how much you can get done in an hour? Because we're almost out of time now, but you look almost finished.
yeah, not too. I want it really. The eye needs a lot more. I mean, it all needs a lot more, but at least I'm glad that I sort of worked my way around that you can sort of tell what it is.
Mm. It's like getting all the
Yeah,
basics in, isn't it? The right colours
yeah,
and enough detail to see what it is.
yeah. I think I'm not too. I think it's not too shabby now. At first, I was like, oh my God, I can't really see what I'm doing, and yeah, I think that I haven't disgraced myself. I think that that's fine.
No, I love it so
Yeah,
much. Well, you have to
yeah.
send me a picture once this call is over.
Yeah.
I would
I'll
love to see it and share it.
I'll do some tweaking without the camera in the way, and then I'll send over what it looks like if it
Yes,
looks. Yeah.
please. Please do. I can't wait. And thank you so much for everybody who's joined us today. And please give Kate a follow if you haven't already. And for this practice journal, books and video tutorials, you can head over to learnmycraft.com where you can watch this episode and many others. So thank you so much, Kate. It's been a
Yeah.
real pleasure.
Yeah. No, no, thank you. So thank you very much for the invite, and I love doing that. And yeah, I will send over how far I
Wonderful.
get.
Yes, please. Thank you so much, Kate. Have a lovely day.
Yeah, you
Bye
too. Cheers.
bye.
Bye.